It all started when I just turned 17, so roughly 17 years ago. Bought a car, and he was known to everybody in the area as being the person to get cars from. He was a friend of the family as well. My wife went to school with him. So obviously being a friend, that's the best people to go to, you'd think. So bought the car off him for £250 and started off where I was just paying him £30 a week. After a couple of weeks, the payments increased, he wanted more. And then a couple of weeks later he wanted more. It went from 30 to 50 to 60 to 70. And then because obviously I was using money to pay him instead of buying food and gas, electric, paying the rent, I then had to lend more money off him to cover them, and he'd chuck interest on top. And if I couldn't pay him 1 week, he'd double what I owe him. It just spiralled out of control. He started to give threats saying that if we didn't pay him, he was going to hit us or start taking stuff out of the house, which he did do. Took kids' PlayStations, took any console we got for them. He took a car off us, and there was one occasion where I was ill. I was on the settee, and he just started laying into me in front of my kids. I was always stressed. I was working all the hours God sent, doing 2 jobs, sleeping for 2-3 hours a day, living on Mars bars, just to get the money to pay him. I had a mortgage at the time, which I should have been able to afford to pay, but because I was having to pay him £200 a week, we lost the house. Me and my wife, because we lost the house, because we didn't have the money, we were always arguing, splitting up. I mean, I had a heart attack because of all the stress I couldn't pay him. I lost 2 jobs at the same time, tried to commit suicide, tried to hang myself in the loft, but I was stopped. So I went to the local park, and if it wasn't for the police, I'd have probably gone ahead and done it. It affected the kids as well, because they just wouldn't go out in case we argued again, or in case I tried doing something stupid again. Everything was a result of the loan shark. It just wasn't a life. Every time we asked, it was either £9,000, which was the main figure he just stuck with. Other than that, it was just, you owe me a lot. I mean, when I got retired off due to ill health, I got a lump sum of £8,000, which I give him the majority of, and we still owe him £9,000. Even when I was in contact with the loan shark team, and I was still paying him but keeping a record of it, every other week I'd ask him, and it was still £9,000, regardless of what I was giving him. Once I sat down and worked it out with the loan shark team, I'd actually repaid around about £90,000 over the period of 17 years. 17 years of sheer hell. It come to a point where he wasn't just threatening me, he was threatening my wife, threatening my kids. Me and my wife had an argument. I walked out and moved out, and because nobody knew where I was, and he knew I was going around seeing my kids on the Fridays, and he'd sit outside the house and wait for me. When I turned up, he turned around and said, if you don't pay me, I'm going after your wife and after your kids. And that was the final straw.